Tide waters, powerful, relentless, seemingly unpredictable, but ever moving, ever changing as these swirling currents are, daily they are being checked, charted, and forecast as to the time and size of their ebb and flow. Like the waters of a mighty ocean, people also represent a tremendous force, the understanding of which is of greatest importance to the American way of life. This force is known as consumer power. In response to the potential demands of consumer power, American initiative and industry have created in the United States the highest standard of living ever enjoyed by any people. American production has become the most efficient in the world, and as a result our factories and industrial plants are turning out an ever-increasing amount of goods, things that people want and need. But as industry grows, so also grows the problem of how best to get the products of industry into the hands of the consumer, how to maintain and increase the efficiency of distribution, how to cut down the cost between the end of the production line and the ultimate purchaser. Outdoor advertising is a powerful force to this end. Day after day, by keeping consumers informed concerning what products of industry are available and where they may be obtained, outdoor advertising is making its contribution to the development of American prosperity. To fully understand the function of outdoor advertising in modern living, it is necessary to keep in mind the day-by-day activities of the people who are reached by this powerful form of advertising media. In the morning, in any community, men, women, and children leave their homes. They walk, they ride in automobiles, in streetcars, in buses, in railroad trains, in rapid transit systems. They are on the move, and as they move, they do numerous things. They work, they play, they study, and most important of all, they buy. Daily, this great human tide flows into offices, into factories, into stores, into schools, into churches, into places of amusement. Now more than ever before, people are increasingly spending their time out of doors, leaving their homes, going places, seeing things. In some channels, this purchasing tide moves in deep, strong currents. In other channels, it is almost lifeless in volume and speed. In either case, it is a flow that can be measured, charted, and timed. People come before markets. So for centuries, merchandisers have instinctively attempted to follow the crowd. They understand that a retail outlet fails or prospers according to its relative accessibility to buyers. Originally, a market was the actual place where commodities were bought and sold. Since that time, a market in its broadest sense has come to mean primarily effective demand. Markets are people. The market of today is considered to be any area provided with means for the movement of persons and commodities. An area occupied by people who have common and daily economic interests. Without people having demands and the capacity to satisfy those demands, there could be no market, no trade activities. To consider markets purely in terms of resident or static population is to fail to grasp one of the chief aspects of modern community life. The market of today is highly fluid. The people who make up these markets are going places. Daily they are on the move. This daily habitual movement of the buying power of the market is commonly referred to as traffic. Traffic is a necessary and fundamental function of the population that composes a market. Without such traffic movement, there could be no market. Composite traffic flows, or streams of various classes of traffic, make definite and stable patterns in any community. These patterns are a necessary element in the scientific planning of outdoor advertising locations. Outdoor advertising companies have the definite responsibility of guaranteeing potential consumer circulation of specific market locations. The General Outdoor Advertising Company, the leader in its field, has developed a completely scientific method of locating its advertising plants. By this method, the traffic flow has been charted in all major markets so that advertisers can be given beforehand an accurate estimate of circulation to be derived from their poster showings. To do this, scores or even hundreds of selected counting stations are set up throughout each city, tabulating regular traffic in 4 or more directions. Computing the results of these tabulations enables the General Outdoor Advertising Company to determine every one of the major traffic arteries in each city. In order to give a clear picture of how this works, it is necessary to study one city as an example. For this purpose, let's take Chicago, which embodies all the elements of traffic patterns found in both small and large cities. Outdoor poster advertising is sold on a coverage basis of a given market or community in groups of panels called showings. In the city of Chicago, the 100% showing comprises 160 panels, 60 of which are illuminated. As the name implies, the 100% showing covers all major arteries to give complete coverage and complete penetration. There are many factors that help determine the placing of panels comprising a typical 100% poster showing. Since much of the traffic in modern American cities is comprised of motor vehicles, it becomes necessary to tabulate the hundreds of miles of major boulevards which in many instances carry hundreds of thousands of people every day. This great daily movement of circulation leading directly into the average or better residential areas, as well as the immediately adjoining residential suburban areas, represents the class market of most cities. To be effective, a 100% poster showing covers all the major and minor boulevards in accordance with their importance. Thus, on the busiest thoroughfares will be found the greatest concentration of posters, most of which are illuminated, because here is the great bulk of the evening traffic. Every day, millions of people ride the great street railway systems, which honeycomb every district and neighborhood of most cities. So it is only natural that the outdoor advertising panels be planned to cover all principal streetcar lines from every angle, with the greatest concentration of posters along the bottleneck lines entering the downtown district. But often, there are still other systems of major traffic arteries to be considered. These include the elevated and bus systems. The elevated lines carry hundreds of thousands of people per day, and bus systems transport people by the millions. Here again, no opportunity is lost in reaching these important forms of mass transportation. The 100% poster showing is arranged so that all lines are covered with concentration along the more important points. The work of planning a 100% poster showing does not end by merely covering all the primary traffic arteries. The General Outdoor Advertising Company also takes into consideration the principal manufacturing and industrial plants, which in a city like Chicago, for instance, employ more than 600,000 people. It must be remembered that the necessity to work is the primary factor in bringing people out of doors. In the morning, at lunchtime, and in the evening, it takes them to and from these plants. Daily, this great surge of purchasing power moves back and forth, gravitating naturally to the major arteries of traffic. Where do these people come from? How far do they travel in going back and forth to work? Outdoor advertisers can check these facts for any poster panel location by jotting down the license numbers of passing automobiles and tracing their home addresses through the automobile registration records. Surveys of this type, like the one illustrated, for a 1-hour period, prove that outdoor poster panels draw large circulation from all parts of the city as well as from their own immediate neighborhoods. Another method of showing that traffic circulates all over the city and not just in specific areas is to locate the home addresses of all the employees of any large industrial organization and make a pattern of the distances they travel through all parts of the city in going back and forth to their jobs. In Chicago and all other cities, large and small, careful arranging of the 100% poster showing provides that as they move, these workers, these earners, are scientifically exposed again and again to the outdoor selling messages. Though grown-ups represent the greater part of any community's purchasing power, children very definitely are an influence in the purchasing of everyday commodities. So the complete poster showing must take into consideration the location of public schools with their daily attendance, which mounts up into hundreds of thousands. Since public schools are laid out primarily in accordance with population densities, the pattern governing school locations is a thoroughly accurate pattern of actual population distribution. For this reason, it is significant that the pattern of poster showings coincides with school concentration in the same areas. Chain store locations are another factor in determining the placement of poster showings. As everyone knows, chain store organizations make detailed and exhaustive studies of street traffic conditions before locating their stores. Hence, the pattern made by these stores represents a fairly accurate picture of the high points of retail trade. Because the 100% poster showing and chain store locations coincide, the advertiser's message is sure to reach the parade of buyers at the most logical time and place, when they are on their way to buy and where they can immediately react to the buying suggestions made by the posters. Drugstore locations also form a guide for the planning of 100% poster showings. Here again we see the pattern of the poster showings closely follows that of the store locations. In modern retailing, supermarkets are an important factor. Carefully placed in outlying districts, they have an average buying radius of more than 3 miles, which is unusual, of course, for a convenience goods store. Scientifically planned, 100% poster showings cover these same districts. Since every fourth purchase is an impulse purchase, these showings offer a golden opportunity to advertisers to identify their products to thousands of consumers on their way to buy at supermarkets. It is interesting to note that contrary to general opinion, only 207 of the 2,000 drugstores in Chicago are chain stores. The fact that they are located at the most strategic points of circulation and have similar storefronts and uniform interiors has a general tendency to multiply the chain drugstore impression in the minds of people who see them. The same thing is true with outdoor poster panels. Given the same design on each of the 160 panels and placed in the most strategic points of circulation, outdoor posters also multiply in the minds of people moving from place to place. No two cities are exactly alike. In some large cities, for instance, because of their broad extent, great shopping districts have been built up in the outlying areas. Many of these districts compare in size to the downtown or central business districts of other smaller American cities. Since many of these major shopping centers can supply all human needs, it is often unnecessary for a great number of the population to move outside of the particular district surrounding their trade centers. For this reason, in planning a 100% poster showing, panels are allocated within or leading up to the entrances of these major centers. To be complete, it is important that a typical 100% showing be laid out so that it penetrates all sections and neighborhoods of the city and reaches everyone regardless of how limited his method of transportation. Combining the traffic movement tabulated at all the hundreds of counting stations throughout the city results in an accurate traffic flow chart of the entire city. The width of the lines over the various arteries indicates the amount of actual circulation that passes over them in the 18 important traffic hours of each 24-hour day. Proving the heaviest concentration of outdoor panels follows the greatest flow of human traffic, a final check of the typical 100% poster display shows that all arteries are covered according to traffic volume, population percentages, and trade patterns of the city. For outdoor advertisers, these figures offer definite proof of the amount of traffic daily circulating around 100% poster showings. But there is still another element to take into consideration: the amount of actual circulation each individual poster in the showing receives. Some people would have you believe that traffic passes posters like this. Others insist that traffic passes like this. Of course, neither of these happens. But what attention does each poster receive? Up until a few years ago, there was no way of scientifically obtaining this vital information. So in 1933, the Outdoor Advertising Association of America, working in conjunction with the Association of National Advertisers and the American Association of Advertising Agencies, combined to set up the Traffic Audit Bureau under the guidance of Dr. Miller McClintock. The efforts of Dr. McClintock and his associates offer a most illuminating insight into the way in which modern scientific and business methods have been applied to the problems of a great advertising medium. Since 1921, Dr. McClintock has studied the traffic problems of many American cities and is responsible for the plans which have resulted in the construction of many hundreds of millions of dollars of public traffic improvements. He is recognized as an outstanding scientist in the field of traffic movement and its relation to trade. As Audit Director of the Traffic Audit Bureau, Dr. McClintock is the logical person to explain its functions in verifying and auditing outdoor advertising circulation.
This business of auditing the circulation of outdoor advertising is exceedingly interesting, since it involves a phase of the industry long neglected. Though it requires a great deal of hard work and bookkeeping, the results certainly justify the effort. In brief, here's how we go about it. Hundreds of our checkers visit each of the more than 275,000 poster panels in the United States and Canada. First, they make a gross count of all people passing each location in both directions. From this, they immediately discount 1/2 of the pedestrian traffic. That is, they count just the people who are walking from the direction that the board faces. And for the same reason, they discount 1/2 of the automobile passenger count. In the case of mass transportation carriers, buses, streetcars, and elevated trains, however, they count only 25% of the gross circulation. As a specific illustration, let's look at a typical poster panel, such as the one shown here. By applying our formula to the 36,300 gross count which this location develops, and then discounting 1/2 of the pedestrian count, 1/2 of the automobile count, and 3/4 of the mass transportation count, our effective circulation is reduced to a count of 15,100 persons per day. But the Traffic Audit Bureau doesn't stop there. Every single poster panel is given its own efficiency rating. This is necessary because, for example, no panel should be placed so that a person has to be a contortionist to read it. Such a panel would have a 0 efficiency rating. Each poster panel must be so strategically located that passers-by have an accurate and measured opportunity to see and read the advertiser's message. For this reason, scientific efficiency ratings must be based upon the speed of traffic, the angle of display, the clear distance approaching traffic can see the face of the panel, and the number of panels per facing. These ratings are tabulated in what is known as a space position evaluation table. This table covers a range from 100% efficiency for top rating panels downward as the factors of value vary. In the case of the panel being used as an example, we find that its rating is 100%. This means that after the original gross daily count of 36,300 has been reduced to its effective count of 15,100, this effective count is multiplied by the space position efficiency rating of 100%, resulting, of course, in a net advertising circulation of 15,100 per day. If, on the other hand, the efficiency rating of this panel had been 80%, then the net advertising circulation would have been 80% of 15,100, or 12,080. This severely audited net advertising circulation represents only those persons who have a reasonable physical opportunity to see and read the advertiser's message, and how well. This same auditing procedure is applied by the Traffic Audit Bureau to almost every one of the outdoor advertising plants in the United States and Canada. and to every one of the thousands of locations operated by the General Outdoor Advertising Company throughout the country. After they have been carefully audited, certificates are delivered to each plant member, made available to advertisers and agencies, covering every plant audited by the Bureau.